Okay.
Okay. All right.
Probably want video.
Nothing serious stuff, so I need.
There we go.
All right.
Huh?
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming. The Blue Ribbon Committee on Sister Cities. We'll take attendance as we have Robert Kennard, Mary Carey Foley, Bob Sullivan, Stephanie Secord, Christine Fries, and Chair Rich Blaylock. So we have a quorum. So we'll get started. Our first old business, just a recap of the Ditchinon and Santa Cardinal visits and receptions.
Okay, I'll start. So the Italian group was fun but frantic. As we all know, they came to us, 2.5 weeks before and said, we want to have a nice dinner. And we we're like, yeah, we'd like to too, but not 2 weeks before. They were very easygoing. The teacher and the students organizing were very, very good at communicating. And we talked all the way through and said, they said, this was so great. It's so great that we could have it here as opposed to here and be thrown out. They got to stay at the library longer, kind of hang out. I reminded the teachers in all of these cases that the earlier they know about the dates and they tell us, the more chance there is that we can do something special. And that 2 weeks is not gonna cut it.
Yeah.
I will say we overbought on food, and I don't know if that's because it was so early. It was like, 4:30, 4:30-ish, and I think a lot of them were thinking we'll have dinner later, and so I think that was something to think about. But the rest of it went very smoothly.
Where'd the money come from to buy anything?
I think the mayor's pocket, yeah.
Great.
The Nichinon group was the event. Again, the teachers were really good about communicating with us and telling us, we've got, how many people are coming, we'll put you in the second row or something. Here's where the mayor's gonna be, we've got a table. They were all very good at being clear with us. And it was a lot of fun, right? It was, that pep rally kind of thing in there was just kind of over the top crazy, and a lot of fun. And then Bob and Mary Carey and Ben and I met along with the mayor, our visitors from Carrickfergus. And I got an email back from them today. I wrote and asked how the rest of their trip was. And I was gonna just read you this one line because it was so cute. Said that everything went really well. And come on, where's Alan? Here we go. The remainder of our trip was fantastic. We smiled in awe as we drove around every bend in the road across Vermont and New Hampshire. We really had a fantastic adventure and imagined Dad sitting in the back seat smiling. Thank you once again for your hospitality and welcome to Portsmouth. I understand why Dad was so taken by Portsmouth leaders and landscape. And then he asked if we could have pictures. Monty took a bunch of pictures, right? I think he did.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them, but I said I'll get them and make sure that you get some of those. So. Yeah.
No, I would just add to the report, they were very delightful people themselves.
Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
Spent time with.
I was really sad I missed that event because I was trying to get there and that didn't work out, but
Yeah, well, again, the earlier we know about them,
yeah.
they were almost in the same position. I think we learned about them a couple weeks
I remember
before.
getting,
Any detail anyway, I think they reached out early, but then we didn't know.
Yeah.
When they were
We're
gonna
gonna
be
be there sometime in October and but
The student visits, are they annual?
they
We know
were,
they're coming.
they were
This
annual, yeah.
yeah.
They try to be annual, but Nishinon is not coming next year. It's gonna be the year after.
Okay. Are we
Santa
going to them?
Cantalo, I don't know.
Are we going to them next year?
Neither one.
Neither one in 26 is what I heard.
Okay. So then maybe, assuming we're also up and running, maybe we make a note to be proactive to reach out to them shortly after the beginning of school and start the conversations then, so we don't have a 2-week, you want to do what?
Well, even earlier, I think, I hear what you're saying, because school does that, like they've got that summer thing, but they come at the beginning of October. so,
Sure, even sooner,
yeah, school.
So
summer.
Maybe I am hoping the teachers got my message that if they know in May they're coming the second week of October, just tell us. You don't have to do anything else, just give us the dates
and
and,
that's, we made that point when they were here at our last meeting.
Yeah.
But because we go there before they come here, so it's the end of the school year, April, when Portsmouth High School goes to Nishinon. So that's April 27 for October 27, to give everybody a heads up.
yeah, but as far as we know, Italy will be next year. I've not heard that. We heard that
Coming here.
the Nichinon school was having some issues. So we're gonna call everything off for a year. But I was just saying to Stephanie, I wondered if going forward, 'cause we've always dealt with the private school there. And I wonder if there's any way that the private and public schools in Nichinon could work together to build a more robust
Yeah.
program and make it easier for them, because I assume that the private school's smaller. And maybe they could work together.
Cause there was a little discussion about that this year from the mayor's office, and then I didn't hear more about it. There were some students from Nishinon who were here, like 4 students and a teacher, who we found out after they had visited the exhibit at John Paul Jones House that they'd been here, and I'm like, well, who were they? And the high school didn't know,
Mhm.
and I didn't hear back if they were in fact from the public school in Nishinon. But anyway, I think
Yeah.
that's a really good idea, and I think the mayor of Nishinon would be supportive of that. And so the history of that is that the private school director was also the owner, and he's retired. So I can see that the school is going through some kind of evolution, although one of their 2 specialties in that school were a nursing program. They have a nurses college, but baseball, they have the countrywide winning baseball
Really?
team. So parents send their kids to this school for the baseball program.
To the
So I don't know what's happening
Uh-huh.
with that.
That's good. It's awesome, yeah.
And we should definitely have a sports program and
Yeah.
bring the baseball players.
Yeah.
Get them up to
So-
the Sea Dogs
There you go.
day trip.
I did speak with Nathan Delaney, and he was like beyond just ecstatic and happy how everything went. You know, he's been the student representative on the school board for a couple of years. He's graduating, so he felt like he was like, all right, now we did it the right way. We can show the playbook kind of on how to do it.
Yeah.
So that was his hope, that at least we keep the playbook, you know what I mean? And
Yeah, and he and his classmate, anyone remember his name? Elias,
Eli-
both did a great job
Yeah.
presenting,
yeah,
both
awesome.
in Italian and in English, on the
Awesome.
podium, and kind of taking over so that once we had set things up, we didn't have to run it. The kids took over, and
Awesome.
yeah, that was really
Yeah.
nicely done.
Yeah, and I was at the assembly, and that was cool. That was, you know what I mean, the kids all getting into it and doing the ball and the stick thing, and you know, and then he finally got it on the last try, and yeah, that was.
I was just so proud of our high schoolers because they were rooting for this kid on the stage. And nobody was joking about it. This kid was trying really hard, and you'd hear this, oh, and then when he got it, they just like erupted and went, yeah. And I just thought, okay, there's hope.
Yeah, it was cool.
It's
Yeah,
so-
yeah, it was cool. We had the little like stick where you try to like, you gotta get the ball, but it was like a really hard one, you know, it was like this really tiny thing. And then he like turned it upside down and tried to balance the stick on the ball. So he tried it twice and like didn't get it. And you can see him like ready to walk off stage, and he's like, no, I'm gonna try one more time. And then he gets it, and the whole
That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah, they just lost it. So it was really, really cool.
Sweet.
But yeah, that was fun. So I think if we can at least save the playbook and have that ready for 27.
Yeah.
Um,
And next year for Santa Angela.
Mhm.
yes. So we'll anticipate them in October again.
Yeah,
Up 26.
Yeah.
yeah.
Do we have any more information from the mayor about the art, the lights and all that?
No, I forgot to ask him about that one. He, last time I asked him about that. Yeah, because we were saying that like the Arts and Cultural Committee should be the
Right.
one. But I think he more had something, wanted to tie it up with Von Mall or something, or he
Yeah,
had some plan.
Makes some sense.
And so maybe he's waiting to present his plan, yeah. I'll remind him about that one, because I know he's got a lot on his plate, but.
Yes. Now that you're all around for a while.
Yes, yeah, at least 2 more years. And I did get good news that the mayor is willing to entertain this committee for another year, so we'll
Great,
get our, status.
re-upped.
Re-upped, yeah, resubscribed.
Okay.
Which I was excited about, because otherwise we'd be having our last meeting next month, and
That would be sad.
yeah. All right. So Ben's not here.
It's not here, so we table that.
We tabled the Portsmouth UK tour. We have item D, upcoming events and news, Nichinon, Portsmouth, UK.
So a couple of things on Nishinon that I sent around. One was the article from Nishinon magazine that Jose, who is the mayor's liaison, wrote in Japanese for the magazine. Which was he was very enthusiastic. And then the second thing on Nishinon is that Sister Cities International, the Japan connection, is promoting a global grant for Japanese and American sister cities. They're gonna award two $25,000 grants. The deadline is December 31st of this year. We are not gonna be able to put together anything by then that is substantial, that is that kind of financial ballpark. But I was floating the idea with Christine about if they're gonna do this every year, and if we feel ambitious, and the playbook is good, and getting the public school and the private school to work together. What do you all think about the idea of putting together a concept for 2030, which is the 125th anniversary of the Peace Treaty and the 45th anniversary of our sister city relationship, and really make our sister city connection through the schools and the future of this relationship more substantial? I mean, we've really gotten a lot of the details nailed down. We've had this relationship for a long time. It's been very successful. But it's kind of ad hoc. It's just like the way we've been
Right.
greeting these
Yeah.
groups, and really making it, maybe an element of it is teaching Japanese in the high school. If we can get support from either this grant, I mean, to do that, 25 grand isn't all that much. But the Consul General of Japan and Boston might be willing to support it. I think there's a there that I'm willing. I downloaded the rules and regulations for the grant for this year and what you have to tell them and what the outline is. And I'm willing to take what I know about our 40-year relationship and put something together for your review, if that makes sense. If you think it's pie in the sky or too much work or both, we can not do it. But I'm happy to spend some time to put something together for your consideration, because I know I'm not really explaining what I have as a kind of idea. But I do think if they're only awarding 2 grants ever, and they may only do it this year, which would be, okay, fine. We're the only sister city relationship that is based on ending World War II. I mean, I think that has some gravitas
Yeah.
and substantiates an ask of that to create a program that is gonna live beyond us and in the future of the high school here and there and all of that. I think we might be able to do something with it, so.
I'd be very interested and I'd be happy to be involved. I have a couple questions. This one's for Robert, the other Robert. What do we have to do to go from a blue ribbon committee to a standing committee? And is that crazy? Like, do we try to avoid doing that in the council or do we?
It calls for the creation and adoption by the city council of an ordinance.
Okay.
We just did it with the Energy Advisory Committee.
Yeah, because it seems to me either we make a nonprofit like a lot of cities do for sister cities, or we become a full regular committee, because not being able to plan out multiple
Right.
years because we're a blue
Yeah.
ribbon committee.
Well, it's not like
5
we're
years
not
may
gonna
not
be a
exist.
sister city
Yeah,
next year, and the year
If it-
after, the year after, the year after.
If it's something that the city council sees as going beyond a year and
Yeah.
continuing on, then it makes perfect sense to do it by ordinance. And it's simple, it's not.
Okay. It's not like
Um,
we can only have 10 or something.
Yeah. I would be happy to bring that to the council. I would probably wait till the new council, just because
Sure.
we get a lot we only have 2 meetings, we had the CIP and all this
Yeah,
other
you're
stuff
busy.
to finish up, yeah. It was like 10 public hearings last meeting, it was long. But no, I think that's a great idea.
If we want to look forward and,
Yeah.
and there are other grant opportunities, like if this one isn't, I bet there are other Japan, US.
Yep.
Or international peace or some other grant
Something.
opportunities that
Yeah.
we could do.
that's-
My other question is, does this committee have any, I mean, I know because we're just a small committee, but do you have an interest in doing things beyond the school connection? Because I hear on the Sister Cities meetings, and yesterday was one from Italy, the Italy Roundtable, but, sports, arts, all these other adult visits.
Yeah.
It just feels like while we have a very long history, we also have a very narrow history, and that we now have all the connections and, as you said, 40 years experience to do I don't know what that would be with Nichinon or any of the groups,
Well,
but
It kind of an answer to your question. We had that survey that somebody in the mayor's office, economic development in the Nishinon mayor's
Mhm.
office, wanted to survey the high school kids in the interest of building some of those commercial, support the arts beyond the school's ideas. So it seems like he has that goal in mind, and he's established, at least at the moment, I forget what his name is, in the mayor's office there. And so at least it's somebody to have a conversation with. So,
okay.
yeah, I mean, it's at least finding out. I don't want to be, because I know how much work it is just to do what we do, especially at the school side and for the bell ringing ceremony. But it would be nice to really map something that's gonna last. And I'm not gonna be around running the bell ringing ceremony forever.
Right.
Just feels like it.
Why not?
Thank you for your support, Robin. So I'll put something together for your review, but I think that will be part of it, so it
Okay.
isn't just the schools, but cautiously. We don't wanna bite off more than.
Well, I think we talked at the very beginning of this committee about like how could we establish things so that it's not as ad hoc as it was?
Mhm.
But, and part of it is money, which Bob and I will talk about.
Yeah.
But part of it is like, what are the other strong potential, and it doesn't have to be every year there's an art thing or every year there's a sports thing, but it could
Just
be,
gotta go, well, particularly.
here's how we
there's
go
the
about
baseball
it.
thing.
right?
Yeah,
I'd like to just see what other cities do.
I think it should grow outside of the school
I agree.
connection,
Feeling.
sister city, right?
Right,
Not school to school.
yeah.
So,
Thank you.
support the school stuff that they do through what we can, but we should expand it outside to capture everything that's unique about us and about them, and try to make connections that way.
I agree.
So I'm in favor of that.
You like that. The other thing for Portsmouth, England quickly is they have again invited us to participate via Zoom in the annual Lord Mayor's Holiday Greetings event on the 16th of December at they're doing it at 2 o'clock, so you're right, Christine, that's 5 hours ahead for us, which makes it 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
So for what it's worth, I think that's a Tuesday, as I remember, which means um
16th of December.
Rich and I ended up on the Zoom unbeknownst to each other, which was.
Oh, yeah.
to have both of us
Yeah,
there.
that's right.
I mean, it would
Go
be
with it.
great to do a Zoom in this room,
Mhm.
except being a Tuesday morning, it's core.
Yeah, 9 o'clock it is. Well, that's okay. We can have the whole core group say hello. Happy New Year. Happy Christmas. I was thinking also that I think Karen's office, I mean, her meeting room has, I know it has this, so I assume we could
And
join there for 5 minutes.
the
and-
school conference room has Zoom, so.
With enough notice, core might be able to be pushed back an hour.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
even, yeah, I mean, they did.
It's- I can't imagine
last
it's,
year, Half an hour.
Yeah, it wasn't too.
'Cause they invite every sister and friendship city that they have to comment. So it takes a while to get through all that.
comment on our great relationship.
Yes,
Well, that'll be short.
or to just, actually what they
It's kind of
did,
funny. It was, yeah.
what they did last year was just talk about what they've been doing,
Yeah.
which was interesting. So anyway, so that's.
Well, we
the
do a lot.
16th
We can
of
talk about
December.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Okay.
can talk about fun.
So that's the news from Portsmouth, England.
Okay, so we'll see where we can set that up and.
Yeah, that'd be fun. No.
Yeah.
Again, you know. And for me, with these relationships, I mean, the face-to-face stuff just goes so long, you know, I mean, the mayor ditching on meeting him here at City Hall, and then the next day we saw each other at the bell ringing. We were like best buddies, cause you know, you knew each other for 24 hours, yeah.
Right.
And the same with, what was his name, that interpreter's name again?
Jose,
Jose, yes, and Jose, you know, he was
Yeah.
awesome, yeah.
just kind of Eisenhower's whole point, right? Like if you
Yeah,
humanize people, you talk to them across
exactly, no, it's,
frontiers,
Yep.
it's like.
you know, I've been watching the American Revolution, you know, Ken Burns.
Yeah.
Every night, you know, and he didn't give Portsmouth as much credit I was hoping we'd get.
At least they got started.
So we can make sure we get more credit for stopping World War Zero, you know. But it was, yeah, you realize like it's relationships and it's communicating and it's, yeah, person to person is the best way to do it. But I think like expanding that relationship with Nichina on sports, music, art, you know, anything that is a universal language, really, that's what, you know, and then you laugh about the language that you don't understand, you know?
On either side, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
all right.
so I put New Zealand on because I was thinking, Joanna just asked me about this, but it's in their court, isn't it?
Yeah,
They've
so-
got it.
But I spoke with the mayor, you know, because we had sent the application to the mayor's office and he said he had approved it. And then I went back to him like, well, hey, what does that mean?
Did you? file?
Yeah, doesn't that mean like you're sending it to Mayor Nick Smith and Nelson? And he kind of, okay, yeah, I'll do that. So they are sending it, they're sending a hard, you know, certified copy to the Nelson Mayor, Smith and the Nelson City Council.
Oh, but our mayor needs to send that if he hasn't.
Yeah, so he's sending it.
That's what they were looking for. okay.
You know, and then if they're interested and they approve, then that'll come back to the city council for approval.
Okay,
Neither me or the mayor were certain on, would it be approved at city council first and then sent to Nelson, New Zealand? Or should we send it to Nelson, New Zealand? And we figured it was better to send it to them first and not waste time with the council if they're not interested, you know,
Yeah.
that way we don't look.
to New Zealand,
Wasted time.
okay, all right, I'll let Joanna know.
But yeah, I was happy just to hear that ball's rolling and, you know, hopefully they're still interested. All right, we'll go next to the update on correspondence with Hungary.
Nothing at the moment.
Nothing at the moment?
but They'd love to talk to us, but
Yeah, you think it's politically motivated or, yeah,
I don't know, I can't tell how much.
I think it is. They're watching.
I really care.
Come on to you.
But I mean personally, I have nothing against Hungary, but I just feel like we've got our hands full trying to do
Yeah.
with our stronger connections already, and I personally don't want to take on any volunteering for expanding that until we feel comfortable with, we got our processes all.
Talking about having a Zoom conversation with the woman who contacted us, because our Hungarian emigre resident
Yeah.
said, take it slowly,
Right.
basically.
And that's how I feel about it. I don't
Yeah.
know it.
I'd rather put our efforts, our time into shoring up the relationships that already exist.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Reaching out, I'd rather reach out to Northern Ireland or to New Zealand
Yep.
where we've got
Yep.
connections going and.
I agree. I even, sending this to Nelson, New Zealand, I'm like, okay, this is, what am I committing to? What am I, but I think we should, focus on the good friends we have, with Nichinan and Santa Cargelo and Carrot Fergus and.
Yeah.
All right. So we'll go to item G, update on Sister City Fund.
Money, money, money,
Next
money.
Steps
Bob and I have a meeting tomorrow.
with the trustees or with
No.
who?
No.
And the
Just-
trustee.
Yeah, not
I
doing
don't
that.
Remember who it is that's coming? Jennifer, maybe?
Jennifer.
Okay,
From legal.
and
Jennifer Smith.
basically, you want to explain what you want to set
So
up?
are we meeting upstairs or
Yeah, I think we're meeting in legal.
So tomorrow then, she and I are meeting with Jennifer Smith in the legal department. Apparently the plan is for Jennifer, who's the newest lawyer up there, to take over what I have been doing and trying to put something together originally, as you know, as a trust. And having failed at reach an agreement with the trustees, we had moved on to a different plan. And we'll explain the different plan to Jennifer and she'll do the writing from there, I think is the idea. And it's gonna be relatively simple. We're gonna try to develop a form document by which donors to the Sister City Committee can specify that their donation be expended in a particular way. And then we'll try to have a model letter so that every donor can just sign on to the model letter and the money will all be available for the same purposes. And it's not a big deal. It's not complicated. And we ought to be able to have it done fairly quickly. And we think we already know who the first donor will be, but we're saving the announcement until
We do think so.
appropriate time.
I would think, the only thing I can think of that we might want to make space for in there is the people who want it to go to a particular sister city. So I'm thinking of people from the north end who might say, I'd like my money used for
Santa Conchalo.
Santa Arcangelo events or something. Is that a problem?
It would, no, as a matter of fact, it would be possible to write the model document, the model donation document. That basically there was a blank space in each one for a person to fill in anything they want to.
Right?
And we should make sure to include that it's tax deductible because it's a city fund and, all of that legal definition. Cause that was always, all of the fundraising I've done for city committees.
It
That's the
would be
first
tax
one.
deductible.
Yeah,
We just
and
put
they
that at the
always
bottom,
ask
I think,
how to
because-
do it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we do that on our gifts to the library and we're like, we can't value things for you, but
Bob, this model form that you three are gonna create, does it make a difference how we exist as a committee? If we're gonna try to convert to a standing something or whatever you guys were talking about earlier, does that affect?
Yes, you would have to somehow account in the model form for what happens if the committee doesn't exist at all or exists in some different form.
Okay,
or it's, what do you call that? It's inherited states, like this committee or any future committee handling sister city connections or
Because
something.
it's the donor's money right up until it comes to the city, and they really get to say what they want to have happen with it.
Mhm.
And so they might say, gee, if the Sister City Committee ceases to exist, I want my money back. Whatever
Can they?
it could be done that way.
No, that's exciting. That's the whole point was to be able to accept donations. People know that they're tax deductible, us to be able to accept money to do the things that we talk about.
And allow the city manager to release the funds rather than
Yeah,
the trustees.
yes, that was the other hurdle. Yeah.
Right, so if we want to have a dinner next year and we have the money, we can just say, okay, we're gonna have a dinner. Sorry.
So what do we want to transition into? If we are currently a blue ribbon committee, we're gonna go through a time and effort to transition, shouldn't we go into the best thing possible,
Yeah,
which would be what?
So the other examples are commissions, and there's probably a specific definition for the city. The Energy Advisory Committee is just a permanent committee, right?
it's just a permanent
The way it was
committee,
written.
you know, and yeah. My reasoning was, that's becoming a challenge that isn't gonna go away anytime soon. So I think a committee would be I don't think we're a commission, I don't think we're not a board, we don't have any quasi judicial stuff. My question would be, is it just Sister City Committee or is it? What was we were gonna change,
It was Sister City and Citizen Diplomacy at
Yeah.
one point.
yeah, so you know what I mean, in my head, did you go Sister City or did you go Sister City and Citizen Diplomacy Committee?
Because your point about Portsmouth is a friendship city. So is Sister City, I mean, it is under the institution nationally of Sister City. And I think for that reason, Sister City probably is a good reference point,
I
but
think so, I just noticed that when I logged in recently to their site, that it lists our friendship cities, even though it's the Sister City site. It does list them all.
Yeah.
So that's kind of nice.
yeah.
So.
It
if
could
and
be,
when-
yeah, no, it could be Friendship and Sister City and, I'm just.
It's a little bold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Putting all possibilities out there.
Think of the donor writing the check.
Right, yeah, I know,
So if and when we make the change, do we need then this type of, will we be under the same restrictions to receive money as we are now?
Mhm, I think
If we become Sister City ... committee, can't we just, once
The money is never gonna come to the committee, the money's gonna come to the city.
Mhm.
And then the city will expend it to the committee in accordance with the terms of that the
And it's
donor
actually a
established.
city fund, right, but not a trust,
Be held by the city finance department.
specifically in its own bag, as it were.
To my understanding, the only difference between a blue ribbon committee and a committee
Mhm.
is that the blue ribbon committee exists for a year because the mayor created it. It dissolves at the end of the year,
Okay,
where a committee keeps going and,
Yeah.
constantly reappointing or appointing and reappointing and.
And commissions are elected, aren't they? Elected or appointed or?
So.
I guess
the
we're
ones I can
appointed too.
think of
Yeah,
are
yeah,
elected.
we were appointed.
I'm trying to think of
Well,
which.
what Rich said is the big difference, but what something that flows from that, which is important, is that in order for the committee to have any authority to act on its own, to do things on its own, it has to be a city committee, a standing committee adopted by ordinance. Blue Ribbon Committee just reports back basically to the mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
so that's what we want then,
No.
is that thing you just mentioned.
Yeah,
But we don't have to wait to become a committee. We can put in the document anything. I don't know how to put this. The current committee or its successors
Yes.
handling Sister City things, right? There's a way to do that.
Yeah, that's easily done.
Okay,
Be nice to have that finally happen.
yes,
Thank you both.
yeah, thank you for your work on that.
Perseverance.
Thank Jennifer for.
Nevertheless.
We have many difficult meetings.
I know,
to take on another project.
I was talking to the mayor and he wasn't even really aware of all that. I know, and I was like, yeah.
Okay, I'm sure we can think of another challenge here.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have review and approval of minutes from past meetings.
Went on forever.
Yeah, yes.
Sorry that I don't.
So I'll entertain a motion. to approve.
What do you want? So move.
Yeah,
All in favor?
All right,
Aye. All right, chair votes aye.
I couldn't figure out what this dump thing was.
the Dropbox,
Oh, yeah.
we got rid of the dump years ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
What, no, not the.
Dropbox.
Oh, Dropbox.
Dropbox.
Yeah,
Okay, so I didn't,
You figured it out.
bought into the. Oh, God.
Do a charge every month now, $9.99.
Yeah, right.
For the-
So I will post all of those on our page. 'Cause that's
Okay.
what we do,
Okay.
and Kelly and June will be thrilled.
Yeah, good. And we're keeping up doing our, yeah. My other question, I guess, before we go to public comment, do we want to meet next month? I mean, now that we know, you know what I mean, I don't know what everyone's holiday looks like. It'd be if we kept the same schedule, it'd be the 18th. But I just wanted to hear you guys out. You know, we don't have anything pressing. Yeah, so I'm fine if we skip next month, considering now that we know we can meet in January.
Do we need to do anything to establish the committee? I mean, we
Yeah,
need to
that's what
have
I
a
was-
draft ordinance, but as you say, it makes no sense to try to get it on the city council agenda before January
No,
anyway.
no. I mean, we could even make a motion today to, you know, bring it to
Couldn't be
council in January.
You have to wait.
Yeah, because it'd have to,
Yeah.
you know,
Like, that's one of those where you have first and second readings. Okay.
yeah. But I'd entertain a motion, to ask the city council, you know, for our permanent membership as a committee, in January.
Okay.
Do we need
Right.
an ordinance first?
Yeah,
What-
what do we need?
What
to
the
do?
city council likes to do, let me go back a little bit in history. In former times, people will come up with the idea that, there'd be a committee, for example, and that the city council and the city staff begin working on it and put it all together, and the city council begin working on it. And then it comes ultimately to the city council for a vote and gets rejected, in which case all that prior work has been wasted work. So as a result of that, the city council adopted a protocol, which is still follows, and it's just a protocol. But the protocol is you get the council's permission before you bring in the ordinance.
Okay.
And so the first step would be, or Rich or somebody, to request the council permission to draft an ordinance creating a permanent sister city committee.
Can that be done at the next city council meeting, Counselor?
Well, that would be my next question. I would do that to the next council, right? Because I wouldn't want to.
Well, the reason why you want to wait till the next council is, the whole idea here, as I outlined it, is you're trying to see that the council buys into what you want to do. Well, you don't want to get this council to buy into what you want to do. You want to get the next council
Okay.
to
Yeah.
buy in what you want to do.
So that would be, when do they, their
And
first meeting in January?
Yep.
So the first or second, there are two in January, right? Let's see the new schedule.
Typically, there are two, yes.
Wasn't that on the agenda last week?
It was,
Dates for next
yeah,
year?
but unless June is post.
Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, technically, we exist as a committee until December 31st, as a blue ribbon committee, so.
But if the mayor
That's to,
re-ups us before
Right.
December 31st, then in January, we can go in.
Yeah, we'd still be, we could be you know, he can make us a blue ribbon committee for, you know, the first half of, until we get permission from the council. Yeah, that's a better way to say it.
Now, since we have discussed the trust and the trust or the funds that will be
The
available
non-trust,
for the
yeah.
new committee to spend are tied up in all this together, I would just explain how they fit together. The committee is gonna be created by the city council. The trust, which is not gonna be a trust, it's gonna be an account, is created by the donor of the funds. So we do not have to wait for the city council to create the committee before the donor of the funds could start working on the form letter. And in fact, we can do that, and we'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, yep.
So
Because
that
it's
the-
more the purpose.
So the funding of the committee will be proceeding before the committee even exists, so that they can come together at some point in the future and the committee can spend the money that's been donated.
so back to the question that you would ask, Counselor. does it make sense to just keep it the simple, and we had this conversation, Sister City Committee when it's under the ordinance
Yeah.
instead of in citizen diplomacy? I mean, we can include that in our mission or
Right,
goals or
saying,
whatever,
Yeah.
but keep the name simple.
Call it Sister City Committee, but you could give the Sister City Committee authority beyond just sister cities.
Yeah, yeah, say
Anything of
like,
a similar nature.
but I always think, yeah, and simple in the name,
Mhm.
I think the clerks like us better.
Right. I think the public does too. I think
Yeah.
it's really hard to,
Yeah, I agree.
Makes those checks
Keep it
easier.
simple.
that's right, the checks too. It's easier to write Sister City.
Yeah.
No, it goes to City of Portland.
Right, the name does not
Yeah, yeah,
describe the
it's not.
authority, the ordinance describes the authority. So you give it whatever name you want to give it.
The XYZ committee.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyone else have any other business?
no one online.
All right, no public comment, no public comment. All right. If no one else has anything else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So there is
Oh,
no,
wait, yeah, so are we meeting this?
I'm
no.
fine with meeting,
Yeah,
What's the date?
The
18th
it'll be
18th.
December
18th of
18th.
December.
of December.
Good.
No, no, no.
Do you want to meet? or-
You want to
Do you
meet?
want to?
Okay.
Yeah,
Hey,
okay,
sure.
yeah,
Why not?
all right.
I wouldn't think it was necessary, but if you have it, I'll. try to do that.
Well, you'll have asked the council for permission to entertain a draft ordinance.
Yes.
No, I'm gonna ask the
January.
next council.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I don't wanna
right.
ask this
So
stuff.
what do we do next month if we?
Right, so I,
The fund.
The
could
fund,
be
we could have a very brief
And
meeting on
the-
where we are with the fund
The
and.
model letters.
Well, keep in mind, the fund actually has very little to do with you at this point.
Right.
It's the donor who
Yeah.
controls
But the
everything.
letter,
Model letter that you and Jen and Christina gonna
then we
construct.
could, then we could find a donor somewhere, like, I don't know, somewhere
We might be able
nearby.
to find one somewhere.
I'm in favor just for continuity
okay, yeah, let's
of
do it.
meeting, and it might be a 15-minute meeting, but.
Yeah,
And
let's do it.
5 o'clock.
December 18th.
Yes,
Yeah,
5
o'clock.
works. 5
All
works.
right, 5 o'clock.
I can make any 5 o'clocks.
Perfect. How's school going?
It's all about you.
So good,
Good.
good. Don't have me on record talking about school.
Are we ready to
Right.
adjourn?
Yeah, I'll
5 o'clock on the 18th.
motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye, all right,
Aye.
thank you, Portsmouth.
Thank you, Portsmouth.
Thank you, guys.